Welcome to Honey Child's Cafe with Positive Vibes Productions for Everybody's Got a Story podcast, Human Collaboration Project. I'm SHANDA Nicole, the host of the podcast, and today I have Katherine Davies with me. Did I say your last name right, Katherine Davies?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, who's here to have a conversation about being raised by a victim of rape, being a product of rape, the effects of it, and how one can overcome it. Katherine is sharing her story as to help others that may be struggling with the same hurt, as she did not have this kind of outlet to help with her own healing. Katherine finds that sharing her story continues to help her healing process while giving validation to her feelings. And okay, again, Katherine, thank you so much for being here today. And no problem. And I just wanted to start with, how old are you, Katherine?
I am 20 years old.
Oh, 20, you're so young. Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, do you feel older than what you are due to your past life experiences?
Sometimes I do. I of course have a lot of friends around my age, but I've grown up with most of my really close friends. So when I meet new people and when you get into that deep conversation of past trauma, I always feel a little older than I should, I guess.
Okay, no, I understand. Katherine, how was it growing up with a victim of rape? And who was the victim of rape?
The victim of rape was my mother.
Okay.
She met her husband, actually. They were married they were married for about a year, and he was a very physically, mentally, all of the above abusive person. And that affected her greatly, as it does everyone who is unfortunately subjected to that.
No, absolutely. And what's crazy is it's her husband, so you wouldn't even think that one would be raped by their own spouse, but I guess people would be surprised at how often that does happen.
Yeah, it was, I didn't realize till I started talking to people about it how it was viewed. It was always kind of normalized for me because I knew it from a very young age.
Wow.
But yeah, for people like my birth father, they find it much easier to manipulate people once they are already under a legal contract. He would keep her isolated, as abusers tend to do, from her family. And my mom and my grandmother have always told me that when she got pregnant with me and when he started, hurting her while she was pregnant with me, that's what finally brought her to leave him.
And I hear that also a lot, that when women are in abusive relationships, they stay in the relationships and they will take the abuse, but then when they have kids, a lot of mothers, when they have their babies or when they get pregnant, it's like the mama bear comes out and it's like, I have to protect my cub, and then something just turns on inside of you and makes you want to, or it gives you the strength to be able to leave. Wow, that's something else. So Katherine, did you know your dad?
Not growing up. My mother, when she divorced him, she did get a restraining order. He was never convicted of rape. She was already going through the divorce and a whole big life change, so she didn't really want to go through that on top of everything else. But a week before I turned 19, I decided that it was time for me to meet him, so I did.
Wow.
But yeah, and I think something I'm grateful for is that my family has always been very open to answering my questions, and it started out a bit of a taboo subject when I was very young, but
of course,
they've always been so understanding that I wanted to still meet him, because although I understand how much pain he's caused my mother and my family, I still had a conflicting feeling of wanting to meet him since he was my birth father, and they understood that was natural. So I did, but I did end up cutting him off because he turned out to be still a very manipulative person.
So you couldn't even have a relationship with him?
No, I couldn't, yeah.
Well, at least you tried. Like, that was really big of you. I mean, I guess with most kids, they do want to know their lineage. They want to know where they come from. And so
exactly.
And that's completely understandable. And after all that time, you probably felt maybe he's changed, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I tried not to go in with that expectation, but unfortunately it was something that I'd really hoped for. So I couldn't really let go until it wasn't until actually my grandmother passed away, and I really realized that it was something I couldn't keep in my life in order to heal. So it was something that really pushed me to make that decision, and I don't regret it. I'm not going to lie, it is something that still I struggle with, but I definitely don't regret my decision.
No, absolutely. And do you feel, Katherine, you struggle with it because you feel like it's a part of you that's like missing?
Yes, I do feel as though I have lots of answers that I needed, but it only lasted for about half a year, and of course that can't make up for now 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, Katherine, how were you treated by your mother? Like, you weren't treated, you know how sometimes kids will say, I was a product of rape and my mom treated me poorly because whenever she would look like me or look at me, she would say I look like my father, and it would trigger something in her. But you didn't have to go through anything like that, right?
No, I did.
You did? Oh.
Yeah. I think something that I've been thinking about the past few years is about how, like you were saying before, like she left the situation because of me, and that happens with a lot of mothers, and I admire my mother for that. I'm grateful that she had the strength to give birth to me, and I understand why she raised me the way she did. But what isn't talked about, and why I'm of course doing this, is because it's not talked about very often. Yeah. But I did have that. My mom and I didn't have a relationship when I was a child. She did have resentment for me. She showed it. She said it to me. She said that she wished I was never born, and she would call me a lot of different curse words. And this was all around when I was like 6. So from a very young age, I just knew, I felt that I wasn't wanted.
I'm sorry to hear that, Katherine. That so breaks my heart to hear that. My goodness. Did you, oh man. Did your relationship change with your mom as you got older?
It did. It actually, when I first went away to college, that was when things were kind of able to change, when I was able to go out on my own and then would come back home. And then, as I mentioned before, we had a big life moment in our family, which was my grandmother passing away, and that brought us a lot closer together. So we're definitely closer now. I don't think we're as close as I'd like to be. I'm not sure if I'm entirely ready to be, but we have talked about the past, which has been helping us heal these past few years. Absolutely,
because Katherine, there's a saying that says hurt people, and not giving validation to how your mom treated you growing up, but because she was so hurt by her ex, and everything she went through, she probably didn't know how to handle her emotions and her feelings, and therefore took it out on you, which is not right. And that is absolutely not right. But sometimes people don't know how to handle their emotions and their feelings, and kids are usually, because they're so vulnerable, kids are usually the easiest to attack, and it's so sad. That's so sad. And I hope that you guys' relationship get better, And Katherine, growing up, did you feel different as a kid, like when seeing other kids and maybe their parents, like you knew your story was different from other kids? Did you feel different growing up?
Yes, absolutely. Something that I've only started coming to terms with recently is actually my ethnicity, because my birth father is Puerto Rican and my mother is Caucasian. Okay. So I look very different from my family. You know, I'm not in contact with him, anyone from his family, and I love my mother. I love my entire family, and they've never treated me different based on my ethnicity. I've been very blessed with that. But when people started noticing and asking me about it, that's really when I started feeling different. You know, people would think that my siblings weren't my siblings, or my cousin and I, who, you know, my cousin's like my best friend. She'd post videos of me singing in her room and be like, oh, that's my cousin. And people would message her and be like, that can't be your cousin. She's not white. And so it was always these little things growing up that made me feel very out of place. And I didn't really have anyone who looked like me. And although my family didn't make me feel out of place, just the visible difference made me uncomfortable sometimes.
Absolutely. And it's probably what triggered you to want to reach out to your dad also even more, to try to make connection with that other side, that other half of you, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't grow up with any Puerto Rican culture, and you know, it's something that I try to look into more on my own, but when I was younger, I definitely... Oh, yeah. And I've been trying to. I've been trying to, because I kind of had this ideal that when we would talk to each other, that would be opened up to me. But now that I've realized that just isn't an option, I'm trying to just accept that and be able to do it on my own.
Well, Katherine, what about other family members in your dad's family, like his mom or his dad or some aunts, uncles, cousins? Like, did no one try to reach out to you?
No. My birth grandmother, I did talk to her once. Actually, when I contacted him, I used this site. I don't remember what it was called, but I ended up contacting her first because I can't remember what was with his phone, but it was some kind of phone. And so I found her first through the site, and then she contacted me to him. And I only talked to her a few times. But throughout my childhood, he tried to reach out once, and him and I did talk about this, but he wanted to respect, or at least he said he wanted to respect, that my mom didn't want me to be a part of his life, and he didn't want to cause any legal action either that would be stressful for him and me. So he waited till I was 18, and then I was already 18 and he didn't try to, so I decided to just do it for myself. And I don't really know anything about any aunts or uncles. I think he's an only child.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
I did... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I did find out that I have 2 other siblings, though. So...
on his end?
Yeah, on his end.
Okay, awesome. So maybe you guys can kind of link up. I don't know if they were raised by him or whatever.
Oh, no. At least from what he's told me, he's not a part of their lives either, which doesn't say many good things about him.
Yeah.
But they're both underage, and I just learned about them kind of last year, and with the pandemic going on, I'm just kind of waiting till the world has calmed down and when I think it might be appropriate to try to reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be awesome. So you can make connection with your other side. I think that's so important. Right. And let's see. And Katherine, I was wondering, as a kid, when you were growing up, did you feel that you needed to make up stories to kind of hide your true identity or to try to fit in with other kids?
No, I never made up stories about my life. I definitely didn't talk about it a lot, though. It took me a long time to start sharing with people. And I've really been looking forward to this, and I've been telling my friends and being open about this and what it's about. Yeah. And there was someone that I talked to recently about it, and she said something that really shook me a little bit. She said, Katherine, I've known you for 6 years, and I've never heard you talk about this before. And I realized that it's something that I really keep fairly private, and I've always kept this particular thing pretty private about me.
Yeah. Well, what made you decide to open up now?
Well, when I saw Everybody's Got a Story, I just kind of thought, well, I have a story.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I just, I think what inspired me as I thought about what to write to you was that, I guess if anyone listens to this that is also a product of rape, what I would hope that they would get out of this is that, we can still acknowledge that, you know, our mothers who are a victim of rape, that they have been through something. We can still sympathize with them. Yeah. And it helps me to understand why she said what she said to me and treated me the way she treated me as a child.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make my story, our story, any less valid.
Absolutely.
I think that growing up, there's this guilt that is placed upon you when you're a product of rape, when you are then unfortunately abused by the victim of rape. Mm-hmm. And there's this guilt of just being born and being that constant reminder. And then when you actually want to start sharing, then there's a guilt that maybe you're going to make things worse for your mother. You're going to make people look down on her, and you're going to make her feel bad. I know that my mother struggles today with feeling bad about, you know, what she's done. And I don't want her to feel that way. I don't want to cause her any more pain that she's already experienced. But there needs to be conversation that if women who have been raped and then who will have the strength to have their child and raise their child do not get the proper help or therapy, are not educated enough in how to raise that child to feel loved and wanted, then we need to keep having this conversation until programs are made or programs are more available for women and children who go through this.
Absolutely, Katherine. Katherine, I am so impressed by you. I am so impressed by you. I am so impressed by your strength. I am just so blown away. Like, you're 20 years old and you're sitting here and you're speaking about your life experience and everything you've been through, and you are so strong. And I am so impressed by you. Your mother should be so proud of the daughter that she has. And I truly, truly mean that. Like, if you were my daughter sitting here speaking like this and holding your head up high, because it feels like you're proud. You should be proud. Be proud of yourself. Everybody has a story. Everybody's story is equally important. Your story is going to affect so many people and help so many people that are in your shoes, that's in your shoes right now. And like, I have chills. And I almost like feel like I want to cry because
you're gonna make me cry. Thank you.
It's true, because I feel you, and I feel your story so deeply, and I can only imagine what you have gone through. You know, the mental abuse and the verbal abuse and all of that, and just growing up and feeling like you're not wanted. And I think that's a horrible way to feel, especially for a kid. And I'm proud of you. You sound so strong. And man, so I can imagine that the abuse made you feel horrible, obviously. Was there anyone else that you could turn to, Katherine? Like, was there anyone that you could talk to about this at all?
I'm not exactly sure when I started telling people what I had gone through, because I don't think I started talking to people about, I don't remember when I started talking to people about being a product of rape, but specifically about the abuse, I don't think I started talking about it till I was a teenager, really. Okay. And I was maybe in high school when I first really started talking about my childhood, and I would turn to my friends. About it, but it was a secret I kept from my family for a very, very long time. It wasn't until I was 17 that I told my grandparents and I started really sharing with them what I had really been through. And a lot of that had to do with guilt. I have grown up seeing how uncomfortable the topic made my family at first, and that's not their fault. But I've grown up seeing this past event that I wasn't a part of, but I was such a big part of, and how it affected them, and how this one person affected my mother. And in my mind, I just didn't want to cause any more pain from that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I felt that me sharing with my family specifically would cause more pain. But when I did reach my breaking point, it definitely, caused a lot of tears, as these kind of stories do.
Yeah.
But opening up the conversation and being honest is what helped me to heal, which is what I wish that I had focused on earlier in life.
Absolutely. Look, truth can hurt. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'd rather know the truth and then heal from it than be told a bunch of lies and never know what the truth is. It's like, and then eventually get to a point where you learn the truth and then get hurt all over again after being used to a lie. So look, you're going about it the right way. So your grandparents didn't know that your mom was a product of rape?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. Did your grandparents not know that your mother was raped, or that?
Oh, no, they knew, of course, that she was raped. They just didn't know about the abuse that I personally faced.
Oh, she kept that away from them.
Well, I kept it away from them. I mean, I never thought of it that way. I guess, I never thought of it that way. But I guess in my mind,
what way? Like your mom kept it away?
That she kept it from them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in my mind it always made sense, because when you're abusing someone, it's not really something that you brag about or that you tell people,
Absolutely.
So in my mind, I felt that it was always my responsibility.
No, it wasn't. You were a kid. So the fact that she didn't tell her parents, that just validates that she knew what she was doing was wrong. She knew what she was doing was wrong. No matter how much hurt she felt, she knew that what she was doing was wrong, because you're a child, Mm-hmm. So, but like I said, hurt people. It doesn't make it right. But the fact that you can understand it, because I feel that when people have a better understanding of why people do the things that they do, it doesn't make it easier to deal with, but it does give you more clarity, and it does help you to, I guess, to move on. It's like, okay, so I see where you're coming from with this. So it wasn't me per se. It was Absolutely. This, you know what I mean? So it does give you more power to be able to move forward. And Katherine, so what methods do you use to conquer your mental, like to get you through, to keep you positive? Because you're, like I said, I am impressed by you.
Thank you. Oh boy. So what do I use today? Today, mm-hmm. I definitely focus on the future a lot. I try to, of course, stay in the present as well.
Absolutely.
But, because sometimes we can focus on the future too much, and then we're not living in the now.
That's right.
But today I'm trying to just live as much as I can, because I feel as though I lost a lot of time.
Yeah.
I had to grow up pretty fast, and it's not me trying to make up for those things, because I think when you have the mindset of needing to make up for those things, you can't really make up for a childhood when you're an adult. Mm-hmm. So now being an adult, I really just focus on what is going to make me happy in my life right now. What is going to fulfill me? What morals and beliefs can I find that make me feel fully myself? I'm really finding myself at this point in my age, and I think I can confidently say that, like, the past 2 years, I've been working really hard on my mental health. And once I turned 18, and after everything had been brought out and everything, I made a really big move, and I actually admitted myself into a mental hospital.
Okay.
And I had really reached a breaking point, and then I just faced everything. I had to face it all, and I got professional help, And I learned, grounding techniques for my anxiety, how to calm myself down.
Yeah.
And I learned how to just kind of change my mindset. And so how I deal with it now is doing stuff like this, is telling my story and being able to be open and to be vulnerable. For me is my strength. Okay. I appreciate so much you saying that I'm so strong for everything, and that really warms my heart. And for me personally, like, my strength is still being able to be vulnerable and kind to people. And
that's right.
And not trying to just push things down and forget about it, but understand that it happened and it was real. Mm-hmm. And now I am free to live my life, and I went through all that, and I made the steps that I needed to make to be open and honest. And now I can live and figure out what I want to do and just go out with friends and explore the world, and knowing that I can do that and that I am doing that when I'm able to, because I still work. I can't just go wherever I want whenever. Yeah. But having that freedom of mind is just everything to me. It's something I never thought I would have as a kid, and finally being in that place makes all of it so worth it.
Absolutely. And it doesn't make the journey any easier, but the fact that you are not in denial about what happened to you, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck in life. Like when they are in denial about the things that happen to them, and they try to suppress it and not face it, and that just creates anxiety, and it causes depression, and because you're like pushing down this toxic stuff in your body when you need to let it out, and so that's what you're doing, and that's what you've done, and so it's causing some healing to occur, and I know that you'll just continue to heal even more and get better. And oh my goodness, like, your story is going to touch so many people. It's like you should, like, I feel like you're an advocate. Like, you should be an advocate for this, like, just to help other young girls who, well, you are an advocate. I take that back. You are an advocate because you are doing it right now. So that's what it is. Wow. And you, as long as you understand that none of it is your fault, Katherine. None of it is your fault. You were a kid, Absolutely.
It's so important to have that phrase, to say that to people. Thank you so much. I mean, I remember the first time someone said that to me, that it's not my fault, and I remember just bursting into tears.
It's not your fault. Yeah.
And I think it's something that, like, not everyone realizes that it's something people need to hear, because even just as humans, we blame ourselves automatically for so many things. Right. So whenever I'm helping someone personally, I always make sure to say that, even if they may not think that, because I thought that for so long. And even when I was coming to terms with realizing that it wasn't my fault, of course I still had that guilt, like, once you hear that and once you know it, you don't always the feeling just doesn't go away. But Absolutely. If you keep working on it, it does get better.
Keep working on it, which means mastering. I call it mastering your mental, because our emotions and our feelings can take us all over the place, right? We're not our thoughts, but our emotions and feelings can take us all. Hello? I'm here with you. Can you hear me, Katherine? Can you hear me, Katherine?
Hello?
I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello? I'm here, Katherine. Hello? Okay, so it seems that I lost Katherine. I'm not sure what happened with the connection, but we did lose her. We were nearing the end of the interview anyway. If anyone wants to reach out to Katherine for further questions about her story, or just to connect with her online, I'll make sure to leave her information so that you can reach out to her. Let's see. But I still do want to thank Katherine for being here today and being so vulnerable with sharing her story. I wish more people understood the power of speaking your story out loud, There are folks that feel speaking about one's story is like putting people in your business, or it makes one look revengeful. But when you have so much pent up hurt and pain on the inside, and you don't have anyone around you that listens to you or that doesn't understand you, then where does that leave you, right? And for me, speaking my truth out loud meant making people aware of what was happening to me in case something happened to me where I could no longer communicate what was happening to me, you know? So to me, that was a protection mechanism, especially because I have kids. So it was a way of protecting my kids too. So again, I commend Katherine for speaking up and speaking out and making her story known so that others know that they're not alone and they too can free themselves from the hurt and pain using their own story to help heal others. And that does it for us today. Thank y'all for taking the time to divert your energy this way. You're listening to Honey Child's Cafe, Everybody's Got a Story podcast for the Human Collaboration Project. Peace and blessings, y'all.